were just infesting everywhere. The issue presenting itself was the leaves getting everywhere. Frustration of wanting to drink made it so unfair. All I want to do is enjoy the tasty water. Getting leaves in your teeth turns it to an enjoyment slaughter. Need someone to come along and fix this heinous blot. Then I thought, that's me, I'm a genius on the spot. I need to cleanly move the leaves from point A to B. I need a contraption for this. Who's a genius? It's me. I'll get a piece of fabric attached to a string. You see what's back in my step? That's right, the spring. The leaves give the flavor without the fear of spreading. Now this is the greatest invention since the dawn of bedding. Now it can be enjoyed with any snack, sweet or salty. With this invention there is squat that is faulty. I look at my creation and I proudly wave my victory flag. It's like someone eating nuts, cause I just made the tea bag. The year is 1906, a more uncivilized time, where tea leaves were just infesting everywhere. The issue presenting itself was the leaves getting everywhere. Frustration of wanting to drink made it so unfair. All I want to do is enjoy the tasty water. Getting leaves in your teeth turns it to an enjoyment slaughter. Need someone to come along and fix this heinous blot. Then I thought, that's me, I'm a genius on the spot. I need to cleanly move the leaves from point A to B. I need a contraption for this. Who's a genius? It's me. I'll get a piece of fabric attached to a string. You see what's back in my step? That's right, the spring. The leaves give the flavor without the fear of spreading. Now this is the greatest invention since the dawn of bedding. Now it can be enjoyed with any snack, sweet or salty. With this invention there is squat that is faulty. I look at my creation and I proudly wave my victory flag. It's like someone eating nuts, cause I just made the tea bag. The year is 1906, a more uncivilized time, where tea leaves were just infesting everywhere. The issue presenting itself was the leaves getting everywhere. Frustration of wanting to drink made it so unfair. All I want to do is enjoy the tasty water. Getting leaves in your teeth turns it to an enjoyment slaughter. Need someone to come along and fix this heinous blot. Then I thought, that's me, I'm a genius on the spot. I need to cleanly move the leaves from point A to B. I need a contraption for this. Who's a genius? It's me. I'll get a piece of fabric attached to a string. You see what's back in my step? That's right, the spring. The leaves give the flavor without the fear of spreading. Now this is the greatest invention since the dawn of bedding. Now it can be enjoyed with any snack, sweet or salty. With this invention there is squat that is faulty. I look at my creation and I proudly wave my victory flag. It's like someone eating nuts, cause I just made the tea bag. The year is 1906, a more uncivilized time, where tea leaves were just infesting everywhere. The issue presenting itself was the leaves getting everywhere. Frustration of wanting to drink made it so unfair. All I want to do is enjoy the tasty water. Getting leaves in your teeth turns it to an enjoyment slaughter. Need someone to come along and fix this heinous blot. Then I thought, that's me, I'm a genius on the spot. I need to cleanly move the leaves from point A to B. I need a contraption for this. Who's a genius? It's me. I'll get a piece of fabric attached to a string. You see what's back in my step? That's right, the spring. The leaves give the flavor without the fear of spreading. Now this is the greatest invention since the dawn of bedding. Now it can be enjoyed with any snack, sweet or salty. With this invention there is squat that is faulty. I look at my creation and I proudly wave my victory flag. It's like someone eating nuts, cause I just made the tea bag. The year is 1906, a more uncivilized time, where tea leaves were just infesting everywhere. The issue presenting itself was the leaves getting everywhere. Frustration of wanting to drink made it so unfair. All I want to do is enjoy the tasty water. Getting leaves in your teeth turns it to an enjoyment slaughter. Need someone to come along and fix this heinous blot. Then I thought, that's me, I'm a genius on the spot. I need to cleanly move the leaves from point A to B. I need a contraption for this. Who's a genius? It's me. I'll get a piece of fabric attached to a string. You see what's back in my step? That's right, the spring. The leaves give the flavor without the fear of spreading. Now this is the greatest invention since the dawn of bedding. Now it can be enjoyed with any snack, sweet or salty. With this invention there is squat that is faulty. I look at my creation and I proudly wave my victory flag. It's like someone eating nuts, cause I just made the tea bag. The year is 1906, a more uncivilized time, where tea leaves were just infesting everywhere. The issue presenting itself was the leaves getting everywhere. Frustration of wanting to drink made it so unfair. All I want to do is enjoy the tasty water. Getting leaves in your teeth turns it to an enjoyment slaughter. Need someone to come along and fix this heinous blot. Then I thought, that's me. I'm a genius on the spot. I need to cleanly move the leaves from point A to B. I need a contraption for this. Who's a genius? It's me. I'll get a piece of fabric attached to a string. You see what's back in my step? That's right, the spring. The leaves give the flavor without the fear of spreading. Now this is the greatest invention since the dawn of bedding. Now it can be enjoyed with any snack, sweet or salty. With this invention there is squat that is faulty. I look at my creation and I proudly wave my victory flag. It's like someone eating nuts cause I just made the tea bag.
Hi. I really got distracted dancing. I was just, yep, I'm distracted. Hi all. I still haven't got my backdrop fixed. Hi, lovely. Yeah, no, I was dancing my little self away. Hi, fuzzy kitten. Hi. Yeah, I was just dancing myself away to my little start song because I can also hear it. That's how I change it. Hi, kid. Yeah, I was just dancing away. Yeah, I'm having a good day. Tomorrow should be the day I get vaccinated. Should be. Not holding out hope, but it should be. Yeah, I have to travel an hour to get it, but yeah, you'll beat me. Oh, yes. Yeah, Oh, that's so exciting, kid. I'm just like, I saw speaking of the vaccines, I saw that there was a bunch of vaccine, like, blocks. And I just booked a place that I know personally because it's where I go for my brain stuff because I have hydrocephalus and epilepsy, so I have to go there for my appointments. So I was like, okay, I know this place. If it goes wrong, I won't get extremely triggered. Because for people who are uninformed, I've booked 5 appointments so far, and different things have gone wrong at 5 appointments, and I have had to not get vaccinated. So this is appointment number 6. But yeah, I saw a bunch of appointments and I'm like, okay, book this one at the place where I know and message Gideon straight away. I'm like, Gideon, go now. Get the appointment. Because it has been so hard for us to get appointments. 6th time is the charm. So hopefully we'll get it this time. That's why I've been so anxious. I've been so out of it. Like, I was so sick that day too. Yeah. Like, it's been like an emotional roller coaster just trying to get it done. Yeah. I'm super excited. Like, I know that I'll probably still be inside a lot of the time, but it's just, are they doing vaccines for everyone now, or just, they're still being selective? I'm in the group, okay, so they have, in Australia, they have 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, and 3. I'm in 1A. I mean 1B, not 1A. I'm not that one. I'm in 1B. I think they're up to 2B now, or 2A. I'm not 100% on it. But they're still being super selective. Yeah. So I'm in the group for people with underlying health conditions and disabilities. So because I have this condition called hydrocephalus, which is they have a tube, they put it in my brain to drain water out of my brain because my brain can't get the fluid out of the ventricles. The ventricles inside the brain don't relieve fluid. Yeah, I was born that way. It's complicated. But yeah, the fluid doesn't get relieved on its own. So I have man-made tubes. The first tube is the brain grew around it and it's jammed in there. So they've tied it off in my neck. I have a second tube, so I have 2 tubes. But because of that condition, I'm high up on the list for pretty much all things. They want to make sure that I survive. Pretty much it. But yeah, that is bragging about all her tubes. Yes, I have 2 tubes. I am pretty much a cyborg. Cyborg T. Cyborg. Okay, I'll stop being weird. But yeah. Not pretty much. Yeah, I know, I'm a cyborg. I'm not pretty much, I am a cyborg. Yeah, just actual cyborg. I am aware. Your name's Cyborg. Okay, I'm okay with this. But yeah, I have 2 tubes. One doesn't work anymore. The other one does. I've showed the scar on my stomach here before on stream. I have a scar. They have to feed the tube. This is just in Cyborg Enjoy Tea more at 9. So I have a scar. So the first tube goes up here, and the second tube is down lower here. I don't know why, but yeah. And then I have, so there's a scar here, and it's like a hook. Then there's a scar here, which is also a little hook. If I had tubes too, I would brag. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that is why I also have epilepsy, because of the pressure that has been put on my brain from all the water. Because, yeah, also really informative, the shunt was created by Ronald Dahl, which also is very interesting in itself. This is why I just like absorb so much random shit, because my life is just revolved around random shit. But yeah, Ronald Dahl created the shunt. Shunts actually have been used, like hydrocephalus, and there's also the heart. There's fluid on the heart as well. There's fluid in the brain, fluid in the heart, but shunts have been used for people who have tumors. Sometimes have hydrocephalus from it, but I was born with it. I don't know why I had it. That hydrocephalus doesn't just form; it's normally caused from a second, like another illness, but no one knows what my first illness was. So yeah, this is all weird stuff. But yeah, there was something that the doctors said I had. I have artificial tear ducts. That's actually really cool. That's interesting. I didn't know that you would have to have tear ducts, so I'm learning here. I leak all over the place. I didn't know that you'd need tear ducts, so that's interesting for me. I didn't know. Ooh. I used to get, you know when you get all that gunk on your eyes? I used to get, like, all of that so much. Or your eyes dry out. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense that I should have known. Yeah, but, going off the criminology aspect, I'm going to go through a, I guess, documentary corner. I finally watched a documentary. Sorry, pardon. That I've been trying to watch for years. I watched it illegally, sorry, HBO, but I'm not going to pay for your stuff because it's expensive. But I watched The Jinx, and oh my god, if anyone's ever like interested in Robert Durst, holy shit. Holy shit. Now that is like firsthand, like what money can do to like get you out of everything. That is very like firsthand knowledge of like that shocks me. Like they I don't know, like he went to prison for murder, like a gruesome, horrible murder that I'm not even going to like bring up because I know that a lot of people get turned off of very gruesome murders. I'm very numb to stuff. And they're like, okay, $250,000 and you'll get bail. And he paid it, and then he went on the run. And when they interviewed him about it, he's just like, goodbye $250,000, I'm free. He didn't give a fuck. I was like, what the fuck? Imagine having that much money that $250,000 is nothing. Oh, it's just, I don't know. I don't know, that documentary just like was shocking to me. I don't know. But yeah, I will go into what I did my thing about. So, do I go here? Yes. Here are my things. I didn't do too many of it because, yes, hi. So, as I said in my Discord and all that stuff, I wanted to do a little bit more of a light-hearted crime. But there is murder, of course, because it is revolving around old-timey mafia things, organized crime, but it is based on so I'm trying to think of how to word it. The whole thing about organized crime, and we discussed it on Crim's stream, that organized crime comes from when there is when there's like a gap, where there is like the government leaves a gap in like, I'm just trying to think of how to word it because my brain's just kind of gone. So when the government's like, oh hey, we're going to make a law outlawing this thing. So then, hi Hallie, we're going to outlaw this thing. So then someone goes, okay, well, seeing there's now, bless you, yes, we have this thing outlawing something. So then we're going to make money off this. And they have like their own little government in themselves with their own laws and their own kind of, it's very interesting in itself. I find organized crime very riveting because you don't know how to, I personally don't know how to feel about it because, I don't know, because they have their own laws, they have their own systems, and it's just, they're filling a void that will be filled no matter what, and it's very confusing. Because yes, they're wrong and they're doing the wrong thing. Okay. Good luck with your finals, Ali. Thank you for popping in. I do not know how to feel about organized crime because I don't. Killing people is always wrong. I will stand by that. But if you leave a void open for people to make money and they are poor originally, I don't know how to feel about saying, no, you can't do this, and you are your own government system in itself. So it is a very complex issue that I can't just straight out go, no, you're doing the wrong thing. And that is why I find mafia and organised crime such a fascinating topic in itself. So this is why I wanted to talk about back in the 20s and 30s in Australia, in Sydney. Is it Sydney or Melbourne? Oh, fuck. I'm pretty sure it's Sydney. Sydney. Sorry. Had to look. Back in Sydney, we had a war essentially between two rival gangs, but they were both women who were running the gangs, which is quite progressive for mafia, first of all. But it is also fascinating to learn about these two women who were so respected in their fields. And it's just but also the sexism around how they're discussed and how they're talked about as so evil. Yeah, I love progressive mafia, exactly. But like the whole idea of when people discuss these two women, they're called the evilest women and they're so evil. But when you talk about like Al Capone and all that stuff, no one talks about them as how evil and all that stuff. But if that makes any sense, like they're talked about more evil. And that's why I just find this topic very fascinating. Hi, Han. I just find this a much more fascinating topic to talk about when women rule organised crime, opposed to when men. Yes, exactly, Jazz. They're talked about more evil, but when you like talk about like everything surrounding them, you kind of, it matches up both ways. They are, I think it's both equal. They did it equal. And I find this very much equality in the mafia. And I think it's very fitting. And I like it. I don't like it, but it's interesting. So we're essentially going to talk about Kate Leigh and the Razor Gangs. I'm looking more towards Kate Leigh because she was seen as the queen of it all, but she was also against Tilly Devine. If you want to see a more entertaining aspect of it, there is a dramatized version called Underbelly, the Razor Gangs, which is also very interesting, very fascinating. They also look at both Kate Leigh and Tilly Devine. But it is a very interesting time, the 20s in Australia, in Sydney, because there is a lot of laws that are being put on the books outlawing a lot of different things, which then kind of heighten the crime and heighten their money making because so much is going on. And then there's also the Great Depression. Like there's so much going on outside of outside of the crime, which then causes more crime. So that's why I kind of get so fascinated in this, because when you have stuff that explains why the crime happens, it's more interesting to me, because then you go, oh, that makes sense. And yeah, so I just kind of want to explain more about Kate Leigh and why she came to be who she is, because there isn't a lot about her childhood, but there's enough to kind of go, oh, she was very poor and fighting for survival. And then once you start fighting for survival, it's very hard to get out of that cycle of fighting. So yeah, a lot of the women in the 20s, a lot of the women back then were always fighting to kind of be alive, fighting to survive, fighting for money. And you had Kate and Tilly, who just went, I'm not just going to fight. Except, I say that, but Tilly was a little violent. Tilly was very aggressive. As I'll explain later, but Tilly went to jail for slashing a man in the face. And she used to do a lot of violent stuff. Whereas Kate Leigh was more known for people being loyal to her, so she would more get other people to do things. Kate Leigh had other people doing things for her. So it was a different. It was different. So yeah, there was the different sides of it. It's very interesting. But yeah, so this is Kate Leigh here. So she had many different names, mainly because she got married a lot. So she didn't have different aliases. She was married quite a lot. She was born Kathleen Mary Josephine Behen. Friends called me lazy mafia. I wanted to say, yes, the razor gangs were very common in Australia, and I'll explain how they happened, because it was something that was, I won't say, saying it was a smart idea is giving them like, she got married a lot. I can't say, because I'm not a psychologist, but she seemed to go for a lot of bad men. That's all I say. She dated a lot of criminals, but then also she was a criminal, so I guess the men she surrounded herself with were the men she was used to. But I don't know. But yeah, she didn't just marry a lot, she dated a lot as well. So I don't know. For the generation that she was in, she was with a lot of men, which was very uncommon for the time. I'm not calling her anything. You're allowed to date as many people as you want. You're allowed to marry as many people as you want. It was just very uncommon. She also had a daughter out of wedlock, which was extremely taboo. So she was born Kathleen Mary Josephine Behen. Started as a boy band that went south. Oh, okay. But she was born the 10th of March, 1881, in Dubbo, New South Wales. She was the 8th child of Roman Catholic parents, Timothy Behan, a bootmaker, and his wife, Charlotte Smith. So her childhood and her teenage years included childhood neglect and a time and then she was left at a girls' home at 12. So she was abandoned by her parents when she was 12. She had 8 siblings and she was the youngest of 8. So when she was 12, they left her at a girls' home. She went to Parramatta Industrial School for Girls. At 16, she was released from the girls' school, so she had to be on her own. So she was only at that school for 4 years. And then she found work in factories and shops at Surrey Hills. And then in 1991, so she would have been 20. In 1991, having a 1-year-old daughter at that time, she was arrested and given 14 days hard labour in jail. She was arrested for vagrancy because she didn't have anywhere to go. She was homeless. Yeah. That's the thing though, like she's struggling. She was a mum, out of wedlock mother. And you can kind of see why it all started. You can kind of see where it started. And I don't mean this to be like, oh, feel sorry for her and all that stuff. I just mean these aren't things to be like, this is why. This is an explanation for why. Because what she did was not okay. To be fair, most humans look like humans. Yeah, no, I do feel sorry for her as a person. And that's the thing that I explain to... This is something that I struggled with why I started criminology. I wanted to know why people who went through hard childhoods went one way and became extremely empathetic, and went another way and became like Kate does. It confused me, and that's why I look for the answers. And plot twist, the answers don't come. You'll never get the answers for that. It just happens. So she has her first daughter, or her only daughter that I know of, in 1990. So that's, as I said, she gets arrested for one of her many arrests. She gets arrested a lot. But her daughter was born in 1990. She gets married to James Leigh, and Leigh is actually spelt Lee, like this. Her first marriage is in 1992 to an illegal bookmaker and petty criminal. So he is part Asian, and it is very confusing because this is such an odd story, whether she Americanized, Englishanized her last name, or the cops did accidentally. Yes, Ali? But yeah, she keeps her last name her whole life. But yeah, his last name was Lee. But no one knows who changed her last name like that, whether it was the cops, whether it was her, but that's just how that goes. But they were separated in 1905, so she was only married for 3 years to him, but she was loyal, like very loyal to him, to the point where she was convicted of perjury for being accomplice to his assault. He, because she lied under oath to protect him. Then it was overturned on appeal. She passed in the 60s. I'm pretty sure it was the 60s. It's right at the end. So she was 80 when she passed, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, they were married for 3 years. She lied for him. She's very loyal to men. But he assaulted their landlord and tried to steal money from him, and she was an accessory to that. She got arrested. It got overturned on appeal because she was married to him. Yeah. Oh yeah, she died from old age. Han. You have no idea how lucky this woman is. No idea. Yeah. She also gets married to... I'm just gonna go through her marriages. Oops. Yeah, she didn't give no fuck. She became so numb to everything. And she just... I'm just gonna go through all her marriages first, and then we'll get through the crime part. Then she gets married she's married 3 times. Not 4, 3 times. She just had a very serious relationship that they classified as marriage, but yeah. She gets married for the second time on the 26th of September in 1922 to a sly grog dealer and a small-time criminal and musician. At that time, she was already a sly grog in the sly grog trade. Yeah, she did have friends with benefits before it was cool. She had a bodyguard who was also her partner for a very long time. And he ended up leaving because she was dating someone else at the same time or something along those lines, or not dating at the same time. He felt jealous of him, so he left. She ended up dating that guy too. She did well with men. Anyway, she looks like my mom. Oh, that's funny. She got married for the second time to a sly grog. She was also, at the time, into sly grog. Through a long separation, he died in Kate's home, and was buried at Botany Cemetery 3 days later. So they were separated, but he was still living in her home. If you have any Australians in your lineage, you never know. Then there's Ernest Ryan, who they were married for 6 months, which I find fascinating. Ernest Ryan's actually a quite famous convicted criminal. He's they call him Ernest Alexander Shiner Ryan. They were married at Fremantle on the 18th of January 1950. And they separated 6 months later, and Ryan died in Western Australia in 1954. I couldn't have a cool family tree. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to get the... where is it? Where is that? Here we go. So I've got to get the link up for this. Window capture. There we go. If my camera decides to stop being a dick. There we go. Lovely diverse chat. Yeah, pretty good. So a lot of the laws come from the fact that the 1920s was a very, changing time in criminal law. And that's why I have this up. Because I found this and it makes it so much easier to kind of explain. So, in 1990 to 1955, Leigh's main enterprise was sly grog because they did... Where was it? I'll explain it here-ish. There was a law carried out about... Well, a lot of it was the cocaine there, but I'm trying to find the law about alcohol where you couldn't sell... You don't fucking stream, Ali. Anyway. Here it is. Upsurge in organized crime was caused by the prohibition of sales of cocaine by chemists. Dangerous Drugs Amendment Act 1927. I tell jokes in my chat. Thanks. The prohibition of street prostitution. Vagrancy Act in 1905. Okay, Han, have a lovely sleep. Yeah, how do you know I don't lurk, Ali? Introduction of 6 o'clock closing pubs and bars. Licensing Act in 1916. Okay, so this is the one I was looking for. They introduced a 6 o'clock closing of pubs and bars. So, you banned me? I'm so offended right now. So, at 6 o'clock, they ban people from selling alcohol after 6. And so that was the Licensing Act of 1916. So after 1916, you couldn't sell alcohol after 6 p.m. And that is what created a massive upsurge of what you would call speakeasies, I guess. Yeah, my camera has a tendency to do that. Thank you. No, I didn't know, but I'm pissed off at it. So, yeah, what you would call speakeasies and, like, illegal casinos and all that kind of stuff. So, Kate Leigh would create kind of illegal speakeasies and sell sly grog out of kind of underground pubs underneath what you would call, like, she would have a business up the top, then you'd go and you'd have like something else to be like a bar so that people could drink after 6 p.m. and they should sell it for ridiculous prices. I'm sorry, Ali. So, from her Surrey Hill house, she became an organised crime entrepreneur. So, she would, after hours drinking ventures, sly grog, sex work, illegal beating, illegal betting, gambling, and from the mid-20s, she would sell cocaine. So, here's the thing about the cocaine business. Oh, sorry, Ali. I hope you're okay. So I've got like the laws of cocaine here. Cocaine. Okay, it's good. I feel really bad now. So cocaine was first imported to Australia in the late 80s. It was used as a local anaesthetic, but also treatment for morphine and alcohol addiction, fatigue, and depression. It was used predominantly by middle-class women and members of the medical profession during the 19th century. Throughout the 20s and 30s, Australia's per capita consumption of cocaine was the highest in the world. So, there's that. Ban on selling cocaine without a prescription significantly reduced the levels of use among the general population, they say. So, here's, like, the laws of it. I'm just going to get it. So, here, I don't know if you can read it, but in 1906, January 1st, the first prohibition of recreational drugs made by proclamation under the Consumption Act 1901, when importing opium was prohibited except for medical purposes. So that's like the thing that there used to be like an allowance of taking drugs that now they don't allow, which I find very interesting. Like, we used to have cocaine in foods, well, drinks and foods and stuff, or they used to use it, dentists used to use it, And that's where a lot of people would get their recreational use from. They would buy it from professionals so they could use it for recreational use. So that's just a fascinating tidbit. So in 1997, here, first drug case was heard by the High Court, deals with importation of opium. So there's the case here, if anyone was ever interested. There's the first case for drug importation. So in 2010, drug offences greatly expanded by addition of Section 233B of the Customs Act. And that's something also that's very... I was learning in uni that the Border Patrol now is very focused and it's been militarized and is more focused on refugees and people who are trying to get here illegally, but they're just trying to get a better life and all that stuff. But before, it was more focused on people importing things illegally, and it was very much about don't bring in things that aren't supposed to be here. It was very customs. It was just customs. But now it's Customs and Border Patrol. And now it's a militarized thing. And it's a very interesting thing to look back the history of the customs and see how it started off as, you know, don't bring things in illegally. The drugs coming over. It started off as people sitting in like where the boats coming in, or the airport, and just like checking people's books to see if the books were like legal. So like if it was like too sexual of a book, you weren't allowed to bring that into Australia. It's a very fascinating topic as well. I was reading about it at uni, and it's just a very fascinating topic to like, you weren't allowed to bring in a book that was too sexual. It is a very interesting topic. So then we have the Commonwealth Crimes Act contained the most serious offence, treason. Oh yeah, the death sentence of treason. Then there was customs proclaimed, dated, prohibiting the import of non-medical opium. And 1924, customs proclaimed, dated, prohibiting the export of non-medical opium. So it's just that the laws kept getting stricter and stricter regarding cocaine, which is, you know, it just shows that if you keep on being very strict with the laws, it's, I don't know, it doesn't really tract. I'm not someone who thinks that if you keep getting very strict with the laws and you do that, I feel like it just causes this situation. Oh, yay! Congratulations! I can't wait. I'm so excited for you, kid. Have a good time. So yeah, so there's that. And then Kate, then, because of all of the money she was making from everything, she acquired the title Queen of the Underworld. Science juice. The science juice. I'm excited to get mine tomorrow. I know. Imagine getting the title Queen of the Underworld. She did very well with what she was doing. She acquired great loyalty from people. She was very, she did a very, Pablo Escobar quite thing where she would give money to people, being quite generous with her money. Like, if people needed money, she'd just give it. You need, you're poor, here, have money. You don't have money, like, you're in the streets. Here, let me give you shelter. She was quite, she looked after people who needed looking after. And you could see that as she was empathetical, or you could see that as she was making sure people would be quiet. Because you could scare people into silence, or you could gain loyalty through empathy. So it's very, you don't know how someone's thinking. So I don't claim to know what she was thinking. I don't know if she was extremely evil and was calculated. I'm going to assume calculated because you don't get that far by being empathetical. I just don't feel like she would get that far from just being nice. Especially by what goes on later. So, she, as it says right now in my notes, Leigh obtained loyalty and protection. Rival gangs eroded her profits from cocaine trade by standing over and slashing decoys. The decoys, yeah. So they would get razors and they would go into her brothels, her different things, and they would get razors and they would slash faces of her. And this is the razor war, which I'll explain why they used razors in a minute. But they would slash them with, like, the old-timey razors with where you'd shave your face? Yeah. Fucked. I look, trying my hardest not to make this one gruesome. In March 1930, she shot and killed Snowy Pendergast, and when he and other gangsters broke into her home, she was not indicted for the killing for shooting Joseph McNamara on 19th of December 1931. So she shot and killed 2 people, and she didn't go to jail for either of them. So she did kill people. She had blood on her hands. She ordered people to kill people. She did bad things. That's putting it lightly. Yeah, Jazz. So her biggest rival was Tilly Devine. So I'll explain who Tilly Devine is. And the contrast between the two of them is so fascinating to me, because you kind of you look at Kate and you just go, I kind of respect that in a little bit. And then you look at Tilly and you're like, the fuck is wrong with you? Okay. So, not for this part though. Tilly I kind of get with this part. So, Tilly was a sex worker from London. She moved to Sydney to continue her job because her husband said to her, hey, I have a lot of money, come live with me and you'll never have to work as a sex worker again. She gets to Sydney, he's broke as shit, and he's like, no, but you still have to be a sex worker. Her husband's a piece of shit. So she continued her job, but then had to go to jail because she stabbed a man in the face with a razor. Tilly has a temper on her that you just can't control, and it's... So, when she went to jail, she's like, I want to rule Sydney now. So, at the time, a man couldn't own a brothel. That was the rules. So she's like, well, I'm not a man, so I can rule brothels. So she started, owning heaps of brothels. And So she started, like, she was the number one runner of brothels in Sydney at the time. But she was also the most violent criminal. She set fire to a policeman. I can't explain this woman. Jazz! She pulled apart a man's face with a razor. And she generally just, if any man tried to, like, cross her, she would just slash him. So the thing that kind of started her rivalry with Kate was Kate started opening brothels and Tilly started selling drugs. Generally at the same time. Like, no one can decide who started first. So then Tilly publicly denounced Leigh as and I apologize for this language, but a white slaver and a dope pusher. Okay. So in 1930, Leigh was charged with possession of cocaine and with consorting, because you're not allowed to consort with criminals. That was a rule. Even though she was married to criminals, and sentenced to 2 years imprisonment, and was allowed to pay a $250 fine in lieu of serving the second year, so she only served a year in prison. In 1933, she and 2 men were convicted of receiving hosiery. Okay. Can I go here? Yeah, I could go here. Oh, 1 second. I don't know why that did that. Okay. However, a young policeman secured a suspension of her sentence on condition she returned with her family at Dubbo for 2 years. In the Depression, she was reselling stolen goods. So the hosiery was stolen. So she was reselling stolen goods during the Great Depression for, like, cheap to help people. So that was kind of like, she was making money, but she was also trying to help. But she wasn't helping. Like, it wasn't to help, it was to make herself look like she was helping. Yeah. So there's that. Okay, despite frequent police raids and numerous of minor convictions, Leigh's sly grog trade continued throughout the 1930s and 40s. She was noted for her courtroom appearance. This is so funny. Silver fox furs, a large brim hat, and her fingers cluttered with diamond rings. She was fucking loaded. Yes, bitch, work. She died on the 14th of February 1964 and was buried in Botany Cemetery with Catholic rites. So she was buried with her first husband. Was it first husband? Second husband? Third husband? I don't know. She was buried with a husband. One of the husbands. Much of the press, ignoring her connection with organised crime, treated her as the kindly provider of a social service in a repressive era against whom no real wrongdoing was convincingly proved, and pointed to her wartime patriotism and generosity to the unemployed. But now, in our generation, they call her the worst woman in Sydney. So back then, they were really lovely to her and, like, how motherly and how sweet she was with all her money and stuff. But now they call her the worst woman in Sydney. Which, I disagree. I think Gladys Berejiklian is the worst woman in Sydney. But anyway. We move on. let's talk about the razor gangs. So the reason why there was an upsurge in the crime is because it was the 20s, and the 20s started with a lot of money and ended in a depression. But then at the same time, there was a lot of laws in Sydney that were introduced. And that is the whole point of why there was so much crime. If you outlaw so much stuff and repress a whole heap of things during a time when there is a lot of money, then no money, you're going to get a lot of crime. So, let's talk about it. So there was the upsurge in organised crime, which caused the prohibition of sale of cocaine by chemists, which was Dangerous Drug Amendment Act in 1927. The prohibition of street working, sex work, which was the Vagrancy Act of 1905. So the thing is, I'm not sure when she got arrested the first time, if she was arrested because she was on the street or if she was performing sex work. Because she was a sex worker at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying I'm unsure of the facts. Because it was a very long time ago. Hi, lovely. But I am unsure of the facts. So I'm just putting that out there. I don't know if it was because she was on the street, homeless, or if she was performing sex work. The criminalization of off-course racetrack betting. This is Criminology Monday, where I discuss a crime case. So right now I am discussing the razor gangs in Sydney in the 1920s to 1930s. I'm aiming it towards more of Kate Leigh, who was I would classify mafia boss. She mainly ran Sly Grog, speakeasies, but she started off in sex work. I think her and Tilly Devine both started off in sex work. But yeah. Yeah, I study criminology, so I'm very information focused. But yeah, this is in the 1920s in Sydney, Australia. It was a very rough time because not only did we have the Great Depression, we had a lot of laws being forced on these people, and that is why it was a very rough time. And that is why we had the razor gangs. Okay, have a lovely time, Jazz. So then you also had the introduction of the 6 o'clock closing of public bars. So, no, because I do uni, when I listen to podcasts, I generally listen to more comical true crime, mainly because I spend so much time with information at uni. I like to have a little bit of a break from so much information. So I do listen to Small Town Murder and Crime in Sports. Sometimes I listen to My Favorite Murder. But yeah, I very much like to listen to the comedians. But yeah, I haven't listened to my podcasts in probably about 6 months because I've been very emotionally exhausted. So yeah, I'm also very much wanting to start reading my books. So I might start tomorrow. Then you also had the razors as preferred criminal weapons in 1927 to 1930 because in New South Wales there was the Pistol Licensing Act in 1927, so handguns were criminalised, So if they were found with a handgun, they would go to prison. But if they were found with a razor, they couldn't do anything about that, because they'd just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a shave, and I'd prefer to shave with my razor, or I'm going home to shave, or I just bought this razor. So they were using razors as weapons rather than handguns because they didn't want to go to prison. Which, I hate to say that's smart, but it's kind of smart. I hate saying that. But yeah, so that's what the whole thing is, that using razors rather than a gun started. So that's why this whole razor gang started. So you had all the gangs in Sydney using razors rather than guns. So you had Kate Leigh of Surrey Hills, that was her area, and Tilly Devine of Darlinghurst and Woolloomooloo, that they were her areas. So they would go into each other's businesses with razors, and they would cut each other, and that would kind of be their, I'm coming after your business. Which they'd also set fire to each other's businesses and ordered gang rival members to be disfigured. So they didn't try to kill each other, they just tried to disfigure each other. Some people did die, but yeah. So Tilly's home and her husband shot Kate's right-hand man in the face. The gangs began open warfare in 1929, culminating in 2 riots. So we had the Battle of Blood Alley at Eaton Avenue in King's Cross. So, of course, if anyone knows Sydney, King's Cross tends to be where every, crime happens. So, yeah, happens at King's Cross or around King's Cross. So, yeah. So King's Cross in May 7th, 1929. Drug distributors discovered that Phil Jeffs, another gang lord, was fucking with the cocaine supply with acid. And then on August 8th, 1929, the Battle of Ketley Street, which occurred on Ketley Street, but that was also right near King's Cross. Considerable amount of bootleg alcohol and cocaine was consumed beforehand, leading to them throwing bottles at each other. They just kept throwing bottles at each other. Then there was some gunshots, but it was mostly bottles. Then, after all this happened, in 1940, they called a truce. After all people died, Tilly and Kate decided to become friends. Fucking hate that. Okay. It wasn't guns or gangs that were Tilly and Kate's downfall, though. It was taxes. The taxman caught up with Kate in... Okay. Thank you, Fuzzy. Yeah, they ended up getting bankrupt because they didn't pay their taxes. So, yeah, at the end, they both ended up poor because of tax evasion. So that was good work on both their behalf. So Kate, the taxman caught up with her in 1954. She owed so much that it bankrupted her. She died in 1964, and Tilly died in 1968. I love this so much. I had to add it, even though we're not talking about Tilly. But Tilly died in 1968. Her funeral was almost unattended. The only eulogy given by Sydney's policeman commissioner, who said she wasn't a villain. She was a villain, but who am I to judge her? Oh, and that is the gang wars of Sydney. Oh, I just thought that was fun. I thought I would be a little bit more lighthearted on it. So yeah. I hope you've enjoyed it a little bit more than usual. Yeah. So that was Kate. She was an interesting little bean. Yeah. And then I'll do some music. For a bit. Where is my music? Where is my music? Oh, thank you, Dragonflower. Let's see what I can play today. I don't know what I'm planning to play. I'm just trying to look. I'm just having one of those like phasey daisies. Play Dirty Laundry, is that possible? Yep, I can play it. I don't believe in saints. They never make mistakes. I know it's not my place. Who am I to tell you that you need to change? What are we doing with this one? Okay. Always a lovely day. Trying to find something to play. Here we go. Maybe this one. I see you when I close my eyes. I see you like I did that night underneath the high-low lights. Hi Francie. And when I said, when I'm with you, I know just like it's the first time. Food money. Never thought you would turn into my best life. Before the blur, well there you were, under the light. And I said, when I'm with you, well it's just like it's the first time. I see you when I close my eyes. See you like I did that night underneath the high-low lights. I see you there. Close my eyes. I see you like I did that night underneath the high-low lights. I see you there. And I said, when I'm with you, well, it's just like it's the first time. April 7 never meant as much as that night. Before the blur, well, there you were. Before the lights. I see you when I close my eyes. I see you like I did that night underneath the high-low lights. See you there, I see you when I close my eyes. See you like I did that night underneath the high-low lights. I see you there, see you there. See you when my heart stops beating. I see you when my eyes go blind. I see you when next to mine, next to mine, next to mine. I'm having a day. See if I can play this one. This one's gonna be fucking rough, but I want to play it. Give me that guitar and throw me in a crowded room. She bit her lip and kissed me hard. Please drag me down the darkest night with you. Pose your friend and laugh a moment. Frozen at a bar, catch your reflection in the glass. Try to forget just who you really are. Strange love, don't let the madness change us. All of the good vibrations roll on for one more. It's a strange love, lie on the floor with strangers. All of the good vibrations roll on for one more. 20 It's fun though. Well, no, sir, I don't wanna be the blame, not anymore. It's your turn, so take a seat. We're settling the final score. So why do we like to hurt so much? I can't decide. You have made it harder just to go on. Oh, why? All the possibilities where I was wrong. That's what you get when you let your heart win. Oh, 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 oh. That's what you get when you let your heart win. Oh, 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 oh. I drowned out all my senses with the sound of its beating. That's what you get when you let your heart win. Oh, 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 oh. I wonder, how am I supposed to feel when you're not here? 'Cause I burned every bridge I ever built when you were here. I still try holding on to silly things I never learned. Oh, why? The possibilities I'm sure you've heard. That's what you get when you let your heart win. Oh, 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 oh. That's what you get when you let your heart win. Oh, 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 oh. I drowned out all my senses with the sound of its beating. That's what you get when you let your heart win. Oh, 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 oh. Pain, make your way to me, to me. And I'll always be just so inviting. If I ever start to think straight, this heart will start to ride in me. Why do we like to hurt so much? Why do we like to hurt so much? That's what you get when you let your heart win. See if I can play this one. Mine. Someday you will die. I'll be close behind. I'll follow you into the dark, blinding light, the tunnels and gates of white. Our hands. Nope. Things don't sit right this close to midnight. You're some dislike. Ooh. In the kitchen, attempt to fix it. So try to listen to you. You're gonna say something you don't mean. So just before you take it too far, I hold my ears, say la da dee da. So just nah. I don't know what's wrong with me today. find something to play that... See if I can do this one. To validate the hard work I put in and the dues I've paid. Never been too good at just going along. Guess I've always been for the underdog. Favors for friends will get you in and get you far. Shouldn't be about who it is you know, should be about how good you are. Don't wanna be part of good old boys club, cigars and handshakes. Appreciate you but no thanks. Beer in the big machine don't sound like fun to me. Don't wanna be part of the good old boys club. There's a million ways to dream, and that's just fine. But I ain't losing any sleep at night. And if I end up going down in flames, well, at least I know I did it my own way. Hey, hey, I wanna be part of the good old boys club, cigars and handshakes. Appreciate you, but no thanks. Beer in the big machine don't sound like fun to me. Don't wanna be part of the good old boys club. Favors for friends will get you in and get you far. Shouldn't be when did it come? How far you know good you are. Don't wanna be part of good old boys club, cigars and handshakes. Appreciate you but no thanks. And I'm gearing the big machine don't sound like fun to me. Don't wanna be part of good old boys club. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, I'm gonna finish with this one. Hopefully I'll get this one right. I don't know what's wrong with my mood today with playing. When I see your face, it's like I hit rewind. 'Cause I'm on repeat just like So Good and Sweet Caroline. Wanna put you on like a 45, and I'll watch you spin until the sunrise. With your windows closed, I'll hear your heartbeat echo. If you're for the first time song in my head. And I've made mistakes, but you were not one. And I finally found those letters lost under my tongue. And I hear your name in every single line, every single verse I've ever heard, and I still feel the same way. I can't shake you now, and I swear these days you were stuck in my brain. Wanna play you over and over again, sing it just like this song in my head. Back to the summer soundtrack. Wanna play you over and over again, sing it just like this song in my head. And over and over and over in my head, and over, sing it just like this song in my head, and over and over and over in my head, and over and over. I'm so distracted today. There's something. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm just very distracted. I feel bad. Like, very short one, sorry. Let's see who's on. Let's see, fuck. Niconic's on, so I'll probably go raid Niconic. But thank you all for being here. Sorry my brain's being a bit of a ditz. My camera's being more ditz. But yeah, hi, thanks. Appreciate you all being here. Yeah, thank you, Francie. Yeah, I'll probably need a bit of a rest. Gotta go get my science juice tomorrow. So yeah, should have a bit of a rest. I will hopefully see you guys on Wednesday. Yay, science! But yeah, I'll see you guys when I see you. Hopefully Wednesday.